Hello again, welcome back. I want to talk about something in this video that really fascinated me when I learned it, and it's a very interesting connection between the book of Proverbs and the ancient Egyptian goddess called Maat. Now, in Proverbs 3, we read that happy is the man that has found wisdom, and the man that gets discernment. Length of days is in his right hand, and in his left hand there are riches and glory. Okay, so that's a nice thought from the book of Proverbs. Proverbs and Ecclesiastes were always my favorite books of the Bible. In fact, as a personal study project, I once hand wrote out the books myself, just as the ancient kings in Israel were commanded to do. Now, when we examine ancient Egyptian mythology and writings, we come across a book called The Instruction of Ptah-Hotep from the 21st century BCE. And we read this description of the goddess called Maat, which is simultaneously the precision, the truth, the harmony, and the coherence of the universe. So while Maat is not directly the equivalent of wisdom, it is in some sense wisdom personified, and it bears probably a more closer connection with this word or logos idea that we encounter in the Gospel of John. But for now we're going to concentrate on this connection to the book of Proverbs. This ancient goddess Maat is often depicted as a child and something that pre-existed the creation of the physical universe. Now, this is something that the Bible directly speaks to, because in Proverbs chapter 8 we come across a description of wisdom where it is personified, and also its origins are discussed. Proverbs 8:22-24 says, "Jehovah himself produced me as the beginning of his way, the earliest of his achievements of long ago. From time indefinite I was installed, from the start, from times earlier than the earth. When there were no watery deeps, I was brought forth as with labor pains." So in Proverbs 8, it's discussing wisdom as a person, and it's describing how it existed before all other creation. This is exactly how Egyptian legends discussed Maat. Maat is also shown as being worn like a necklace around people's necks. There's also a thought in Proverbs that connects these two ideas. Proverbs 3 verse 3 says, "May loving kindness and trueness themselves not leave you. Tie them about your throat." So clearly this isn't talking about wisdom, but Proverbs 3 does discuss wisdom in detail, and this is where the most interesting connection is. The Egyptian ankh, or cross, was a symbol of life. The scepter, a symbol of honor and riches. In Egyptian artwork, Maat is shown as holding the ankh in one hand and a scepter in the other. Now, the foregoing details of Egyptian literature dovetail precisely with the description of wisdom in the book of Proverbs 3 verse 16, where it says, "Length of days is in its right hand, and in its left there are riches and glory." This is simply Maat holding her scepter and her ankh. Now, this is a really beautiful connection, I think, between the literature of the ancient Hebrews and that of the Egyptians. And there's many other points of connection between them, which I may get into in a different video. But if you're asking yourself, well, how could these things possibly have been connected? How could this cross-fertilization have come about? Well, it's very interesting that there were Jewish settlements in the Egyptian city of Alexandria as far back as the 7th century BCE. And in 200 BCE, about a fifth of Alexandria's population was Jewish. So there was plenty of opportunity for those connections to be developed. And there is a long history of migration by Semites from Palestine to Egypt, mostly for construction projects. And so there's been a long line of historical connection between the two regions, and the idea that Proverbs has borrowed from ancient Egyptian literature is not a fantastical one. It's really quite well established. So that's just a thought I had today. Thanks for watching again. I'll see you next time.